Well, my goodness, will the abominations never end? Not until Jesus returns, unfortunately. But I got a couple articles here that I want to talk about today that are pretty disturbing, but it shows, if you've ever doubted that we're living in the end times, hopefully after this video, you won't doubt it anymore. And the sad thing is, this is just one aspect of a lot of things that we could look at. The Bible tells us that when God created man and animals, we as human beings, we're supposed to be over the animals, but in not an abusive way, in a caring way. We're supposed to take care of them. And of course, things got kind of messed up with the curse and everything, but still, we're supposed to take care of the animals. We're think of how good God is to us and how well He takes care of us. Now, yes, God obviously is over us, infinitely more so than we are the animals, than we are over the animals. But God doesn't abuse us. He doesn't use us for experimentation. He doesn't he doesn't have those compulsions. Yet, when He gives us a job, take care of the animals, take care of the earth. This is what we decide to do with it. So scientists are now growing mini antlers on mice using deer stem cells. So these are deer mice hybrids. This is straight up Nephilim technology. We see the same kind of hybridization stuff happening in Genesis 6, but we also see it in places like Jubilees and other books, Enoch, other places, where not only did they sin against man, meaning, not only did they mate or genetically hybridize man and fallen angel, but they also did that with the animals. And here we are doing the same thing. And of course, we see this happen in the days of Noah, and that's one of the signs we're supposed to look to for Jesus' soon return, as it was in the days of Noah. So, one article from Interesting Engineering says that Chinese scientists have grown deer antlers on the heads of mice. And it says the reason is that deer antlers are one of the fastest growing tissues in the animal kingdom. And so they're thinking, or at least this is the reason they put on the surface, is that they want to look at the mechanisms behind this, because it could someday benefit regenerative medicine. Meaning, and this is what they always say, meaning, if a veteran loses an arm, well, wouldn't it be great if he could grow his arm back? And if you're not on board with that, you must be some kind of monster. Don't you want to take care of our vets? And this is usually how this stuff is portrayed. It's always through rose-colored glasses. It's always the most humanitarian reasons possible. But that's just on the surface. They don't look at any of the negative downsides of it. And I'm going to show you some pictures in a minute that are kind of disturbing of what these scientists are doing to these mice, what it looks like, and just how horrible and gut-wrenching it is. But so it says that the deer appendages can grow as fast as 3/4 of an inch per day during peak spring growing cycle and develop fully in just a few short months. Now, scientists at Northwestern Polytechnical University in China have been researching the same and looking for ways to harness the instant growth rate of antler tissue by implanting stem cells from Sika deer antlers into the foreheads of lab mice. The result, outlandish-looking rodents with mini antlers, described by the journal Nature, and the research was also published in Science. So, according to the paper, the results could be beneficial to heal bone injuries and regrowing lost limbs. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you these pictures, and while you're and just a warning for people, they're kind of disturbing. So if you don't want to see them, close your eyes or exit this video or skip ahead or something. I won't put them up there long, but I want to show these pictures, and I want you to look at this and ask yourself, is it worth it? Take a look at this. This is what it actually looks like. This is what we're doing to the animals we're supposed to be taking care of. We're supposed to be taking care of these animals. And God said that every animal is to reproduce after its own kind, meaning there's a barrier in place that isn't meant to be crossed. Deer and mice are not meant to reproduce and make hybrids. Okay, I'll take the picture down now. So I mean that's really disturbing, right? But it shows that these scientists they have no idea in their head, or no, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have any limit to the cruelty that they'll inflict on God's creatures to try to get some end result. And yeah, of course, they say it's for these beneficial reasons, but they're not going to come out and say, well, this is just for experimentation. This is just to see what we can get away with. They're not going to come out and say that. They have to say that it's for these good reasons. Now, I am sure that there are scientists who are doing this, and they're thinking that it's a good thing because they don't know their Bibles, or they don't know God, or whatever. But I think when any human being looks at images like that, we can tell there is something wrong. It's not worth it. There's got to be some other way. If we were not meant to regenerate limbs, then guess what? We don't get to regenerate limbs. And I understand that's disappointing for a lot of people, but that's just how it is. So if we have to torture and totally confuse the natural order of things that God put on the earth, how do we think that we're going to do any better? I mean, really, this is playing God. In fact, it's going a step further and thinking that we can do better than God. We weren't given regenerative capabilities, so we can do better and we can make that happen. Now, I am all for restorative type things within the natural boundaries of things. I wear glasses. I have a prosthetic metal hip. Prosthetics, I think, are just fine. But the second it starts getting into like putting brain chips, in your head, or God forbid, genetically altering what God has given us, well, at that moment, the question comes up: would we really be considered human anymore? If we inject ourselves with mouse deer hybrid DNA to try to regrow an arm, I don't know. I mean, could we be considered human anymore? And there's a strong case to be made that that's the kind of thing that the mark of the beast does. And that's why in Revelation, people who take the mark of the beast, they're not saved anymore. They cannot be saved anymore. There's no redemption for them. Why? Well, Jesus came and died for human beings. If the mark of the beast does something to alter the DNA of the DNA of humans, excuse me, to alter the DNA of humans and genetically alter us in a way where we're not even human anymore, but we make ourselves Nephilim, part angel, part human. Is that what the mark of the beast might do? If we do that, well, we know there's no redemption for angels. We would take on that curse as well. And Revelation spells it out very clear. Now, I think with anything, there's a line, there's a limit. I would never say that if somebody, because clearly I don't think there's anything wrong with getting a restorative surgery in order to restore what was lost. So, like with my hip, I have a rare bone disease, and it causes my bones in certain parts of my body to grow a lot faster and a lot bigger than they're supposed to, and it's a big problem. So that was happening in my hip, so much so that I didn't have a hip socket anymore because it was just filled in with bone and cartilage and all this junk. And so a very, very talented surgeon had to go in and actually create a socket for me and then fit in a prosthetic hip and get rid of my diseased one. Now that's a restorative thing. That's not adding to, that's not glorifying, that's not trying to make it even better than what it was. That's just trying to put something there that only does what was already supposed to be done. And so the same I have the same problem on my ankle, which I'm going to need a surgery for that someday. But my ankle, if you look at it, it's actually kind of gross looking. It sticks way out. It's really gross, and it causes a lot of pain. So at some point I'm going to need to take care of that as well. But anyway, but that is a lot different. A prosthetic hip is a lot different than injecting myself with some kind of hybridized DNA and forcing my body to do something it wasn't designed to do and regrow a hip. That's totally different. But that's what these scientists are doing. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make something better than what God created. There's a reason that God did not give us that capability. What the reason is, I don't know, but I trust God, and I trust that He's got a reason for it. And even more than that, I trust that we will have a glorification. We will be fully restored. I will have a body someday in my glorified state when the Lord says it's time, that isn't going to have any of these problems. And that's where I put my faith and trust. So the article goes on about how these deer antler experiments have application in clinical bone repair. It says that the researchers examined the cellular makeup and gene expression dynamics of antler tissue during various stages of its growth. The stem cell populations that were highly capable of regenerative effects were then isolated and inserted into the heads of the test mice. And again, I don't need to show the picture again. It's extremely disturbing. They said that, interestingly, they found that shed antlers produced that were no more than 5 days old produced the most effective cell implants. These cells were grown from the base of the antler connecting to the skull plate, cultured in a petri dish, and then transplanted between the ears of hairless mice. The mice began to develop tiny antlers within 45 days of implantation. The researchers hope to expand the capacity of modern medicine. Here's a quote: "Our results suggest that deer have an application in clinical bone repair. Beyond that, the induction of human cells into antler-like cells could be used in regenerative medicine for skeletal injuries or limb regeneration," the authors concluded. So, it's absolutely horrifying what's happening. And again, this is the sin of the Watchers. This specific sin is the sin of the Watchers that created the Nephilim, and then the Nephilim continued on with that as well. But remember, you only really need Genesis 4 for this, but there's extra biblical texts that talk about it too, such as Jubilees, Enoch, and others, the Book of the Giants. But there's an ancient account of Canaan, who actually found, and this was after the flood, he found the inscription of the Watchers that apparently told how to do this stuff, or how to do something at least. And a lot of people think it's this kind of thing. And it says that Canaan sinned owing to it. So he read it, he saw how to do it, and even in the Book of Giants, and I've talked with Dr. Ken Johnson about this a lot, who's a Bible scholar and expert in these fields and knows how to read the original languages. He's translated a lot of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he's got a bunch of stuff on this. But I've talked to him, and I said, does it really say how to make hybrids, like without test tubes and gene therapy and all this stuff? And he said, yeah, it does. It's in the Book of the Giants, and he goes into explain exactly how that's done. And it's kind of a lengthy explanation, but if you want that, check out my interviews with Dr. Ken Johnson. Especially, I think we talked a lot about it in the most recent one. If you're a member of Daily Renegade, dailyrenegade.com, you can find the full interview there. I don't remember if it's in the free version or the full version for members only. So just if you don't have a membership, go get a membership, and you can find it there. And you can find all the interviews I've done with Ken Johnson there. But again, this is the same stuff. This is the days of Noah stuff. This is the same stuff that Jesus warned us about, as it was in the days of Noah. So shall it be the coming of the Son of Man. And we're seeing this more and more and more. I got to tell you about this monkey hybrid thing that they made as well. This one's just sad. But before I do, I want to again tell you, I guess now is a good time as any, about Daily Renegade. Daily Renegade, I can't always post every video, at least not full videos, on YouTube or elsewhere because of censorship issues. We've had our entire channel deleted before. We've had videos taken down for really unfair reasons. And a lot of times they don't even tell you why. There was a time, it doesn't seem to be the case now, but and the rules always change. There was a time where I couldn't even say the name of the Holy Land without it getting flagged and taken down. It seems like I can now, But still, I still have to be careful and watch it. We don't have to do that at dailyrenegade.com. At dailyrenegade.com, you can get full videos. It looks pretty much identical to YouTube. It acts the same. It's just that there's no censorship. And so you can get full videos of all of Daily Renegade videos there, and you get them early access. So a lot of times, even with these update videos, I always post on Daily Renegade first before I do YouTube or Rumble or anything like that. But like on our sharpening report episodes, you get them usually a couple weeks in advance. I just put up 2 videos, one with Paul Begley and some other authors that they wrote a couple of books together, and it's great. And then another one with Gary Wayne, which is another entry in our series on his latest book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy Part 2. And those are available right now on Daily Renegade, but if you wait to view them on YouTube, then you're only going to get the first half. Actually, the Paul Begley one, I left that whole thing. It's only 26 minutes long, so that one I did leave the whole thing, but you have to wait a couple of weeks. You won't be able to watch it like right now at the time of this premiere. But and then the Gary Wayne one, you'll have to wait till I think May 17th, and that's just for the first part because I ask a couple more questions at the end. And it's a lot of stuff about prophecy. We at Daily Renegade we talk a lot about prophecy and just try to spread the good word of Jesus out there in a ever darkening world full of this stuff, these horrible experiments. And even on this topic, I have other videos up there at Daily Renegade. So again, it's dailyrenegade.com. If you want a subscription, it's only $10 a month or $100 a year. I suggest getting the $100 a year if you can do it because it's essentially cheaper in the long run. You basically get 2 months for free instead of paying $120, which would be the monthly. You're just paying $100 for the full year, and then you don't have to think about it. You got a whole year before you have to worry about it again. And also that really helps us maintain Daily Renegade, and we're saving up right now to get a phone app and a TV app for you guys, which will make it even easier to access. But so you get early access, you get the videos, and there's also a community tab that works a lot like Facebook, where all of us, the members of Daily Renegade, can communicate, fellowship with each other. You can post on there. Of course, I don't want trolling, but trolls are pathetic. They're not going to pay their own money to go and troll somebody. I have never had a trolling issue yet. If and when I do, that person will be refunded their money and they'll be kicked out. So nobody's got to worry about that. But we just all fellowship with each other, and it's a family. And so I suggest you check that out, dailyrenegade.com. I got a couple other really quick things before I get to this monkey chimera thing, which is just absolutely horrific. I've been saying for a little while how we are still accepting donations for. Basically, just I'm going to go through it real quick because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But I recently took a job at Prophecy Watchers. I'm working at Prophecy Watchers now, and I have been for about a month, a little more than a month, and it's been fantastic. It's been absolutely just a dream come true. It's exactly where I belong. It's a dream job. It's just perfect. I love it. So my last job was at IGBY International Ministries with Zach Drew. And 2 weeks before I got the job offer here, I bought a house that Zach was actually selling. He was letting us live there rent-free for a while, but he couldn't do that forever. And I didn't know that this job offer was coming up, and so it was getting to the point where if we weren't going to buy it, it was going to really hurt Zach and his family financially, and of course we weren't going to do that. So we bought the house. Then 2 weeks later, I got the job offer here, and through a lot of prayer, it was just very obvious that God was directing us here, and that's a very long story that I don't have time to get into, but just suffice to say, it was all God's plan. And so we're just being obedient and following God. But the problem is we still have a house there in Illinois that we're trying to sell. And the recent couple of storms that came through that area did some damage to the house that we've been having to pay for, obviously. But we're paying for the damages for our mortgage, but we're also paying rent on the house we have here. and it's me and my wife, and we have 5 kids, and we're a single income family. So just what I'm able to bring in is what we bring in. And, the reason is, yeah, Christina could go and get a job, but we would have to then hire a babysitter or daycare or something. So the money she would make would just go to daycare. It's just pointless. We'd rather have our kids raised by us, than just have her go, work at a job and just to pay for daycare. It's impractical. So we are accepting donations to help with that if you feel so led. Of course, I'm never going to say that you're going to get extra blessings from God or that I'm not going to make any promises. If you don't feel led, you're not obligated to do it. You don't have to do it. We would love your prayer, though. Your prayers would be great. So if you could pray to God that, anyway, so the best place to do that, I've got the links in the description below. It's paypal.me/JoshPeckDisclosure. And then I also have a Cash App, which I don't use as much. I really prefer PayPal if you can do it. But the Cash App is $JoshScottPeck. And we don't have a P.O. box set up yet, but we're getting one soon. And as soon as we get that set up, then I'll put that on the Daily Renegade website, so if people want to mail in checks. I guess a couple people have mailed in checks for me to Prophecy Watchers, so that's an option too. I don't have the address on hand, but if you go to prophecywatchers.com, I'm sure they've got a P.O. box address there, and just put on there that it's for me, for donation, if you want to do it that way. So I guess you can do it that way as well. So also the other thing that we're accepting donations for as well is my son Nathan's continued health care. He's a cancer survivor. The treatment cured his cancer, but it also destroyed his immune system and a whole bunch of other things in his body. So we're on the all natural route now. And his treatments are not covered by insurance, and they're extremely expensive. We're not just buying supplements from Walmart and just saying, okay, here you go. A lot of that stuff is garbage. We're not doing that. Like, it's actual, real, all-natural treatments. But again, they're not covered by insurance, and they're extremely expensive. But they're keeping him alive. I mean, one of our biggest worries, and it's a real possibility, is that if we're not able to do this, or just if he has a bad diet, if we just don't keep him healthy, that the cancer might come back, which that's a concern. So you guys have been amazing, and your donations have really, really helped with that. So we're asking, if you feel led, continue to do that. If not, totally cool. No obligation. Just keep us in prayer, please. That would be great. Also, and all that information is in the description below. Also, real quick, I'll just go through a couple other links, and then we'll get to this monkey chimera. But in the description, I also have a link to the Orlando Prophecy Summit, which is on demand. And I have a special promo code, and that is from our friends at Prophecy Watchers. So if you want to see, I think it's over 30 speakers all on, and they're amazing, amazing presentations, all on prophetic topics like what we talk about here. Go to the description below and then use the promo code PECKOrlando24, PECKORLANDO24, as the promo code, and then you can have full access to all the videos and speakers. And if you want more information on the conference, speakers, and topics, you can go to OrlandoProphecySummit.com. Again, all those links are in the description below. Also, I want you, if you have time, if you can, check out my interviews, especially my most recent one with Terry Saka, financial expert, because he talks about the Black Horse prophecy and the birth pangs that could be leading up to that. Now, like, I believe that, the horseman, that's in the tribulation. We get that. But there's also birth pangs to things. And even if it's not prophetic, we know the economy is awful right now, and it just keeps tanking. And the U.S. dollar isn't worth as much as it was and may never be. Terry Saka talked about some things that might be coming in May and June that likely started this month, that are really important and really could affect your savings, your retirement. And it's not like, if you have $50,000 in the bank, it's not like you're not going to have $50,000. I mean, there are extreme circumstances where that could be the case, But the point is, your $50,000 won't be able to buy as much. It's not worth as much as it was when you first put it in there. That's the problem. So what we want to do is we want to invest something that can hold its worth over time and isn't subject to inflation in that way. And silver's a great way to do that. But the problem is, as many of you know, probably, there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of people, they'll even call themselves Christians. There's just a lot of scammers, and they give you these high premiums on silver where really it's a money-making business for them, and they don't care as much about you. Well, Cornerstone Asset Metals is totally different from that. And I don't promote a whole lot of things on this channel. This is like one of the only ones that I'm not directly, that I'm not directly involved in. Of course, I'll promote my own books and stuff on here. But and I took a long time with Cornerstone before I decided to go with it. But I've been going through them for years. I've been directing people to them for years now, and they've been rock solid. I've got all the information below. You don't need to know anything. It's totally fine. They will give you information, and they're Christians, and they're our kind of Christians. They're into Nephilim and prophecy and all this stuff. You can talk to them about this stuff. They're open to that. But the website is cornerstoneassetmetals.com in the description below, or the number is 888-747-3309. And you can register for free information. They're not going to be pushy. They're not salesmen. And also, if you do this online or if you do it on the phone, just make sure online you click Josh Peck Daily Renegade in the How Did You Hear About Us in the drop-down menu, so we know where people hear about them. Helps them out, helps us out. And then on the phone, just let them know too that you heard about it from me. But it's a really important thing to do, and I really think people should look at it. Also, I mentioned Ken Johnson earlier. We have a print version of the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, the prophetic calendar used all throughout the Bible. Lots of videos I have on that. If you want more information, check out the videos. But if you want that calendar, I've got a link to that in the description below as well. So again, if you want more information, check out my interviews with Dr. Ken Johnson. Okay, so I think that's everything. So without further ado, let's get back to this monkey chimera thing, which is just absolutely tragic, and it makes me sad. But scientists create monkey chimera with fluorescent eyes in breakthrough. The monkey, created using stem cells, was born with fluorescent green fingers and eyes. And I'm going to show you this picture too. So, okay, look at that. That monkey looks absolutely miserable, and this to me is just so incredibly sad, because this is not what human beings were put on Earth to do. This is not. I mean, this is a complete abuse of God's amazing creation. So I'll take that picture off. So yeah, I mean, this is horrific, but it says Chinese scientists have reported the creation of a monkey chimera, meaning an animal made up of cells from two genetically distinct organisms with fluorescent green eyes and fingers. While this seems pulled right out of the pages of a comic book, the creation of animal chimeras using stem cells is being explored to further our basic understanding of biology, as well as genetic engineering and diseases. The case of the live monkey born with fluorescent body parts, donated stem cells made up between 21% and 92% of its organs, the author wrote in a study published on Wednesday in the peer-reviewed journal Cell. That's a lot. Now, what's with that discrepancy? It made up between 21% and 92% of its organs? Like, do they not know? That's weird to me. The authors wrote, quote, "Our results have major implications for the study of primitive, naive pluripotency, stem cells that can develop into differentiated cells, and genetic engineering of non-human primates." It says that the scientists who hailed from multiple universities and state-funded labs in China report that they used stem cells from two fertilized eggs belonging to monkeys of the same species, cynomolungus monkeys, also known as long-tailed macaws, which were housed in sunny rooms at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Center for Excellence in Brain Science and Intelligent Technology. So it's DNA, but from two different monkeys. And so this monkey had two sets of DNA. And apparently, if I understand the article correctly, what they did was the donated stem cells were marked with a green fluorescent protein, so that when they spliced it all together, that those parts would light up, they would glow, and then they would know which parts were which. So while it's still the same species, it's still technically a chimera because this isn't natural. Like one being, one thing, one organism shouldn't that's not it shouldn't have two sets of DNA like that. Well, the sad thing is, of course, the monkey only lived 10 days before its health, quote, deteriorated with respiratory failure and hypothermia, end quote, and it was euthanized. Another chimeric monkey only managed to develop into a fetus, which was then aborted. Which I mean, and that's tragic. I mean, the 10 days for that poor animal must have been just horrendous. Like I know they're animals, but still, like we're supposed to take care of them. Yeah, they're not on the same level as humans, but still, we can't just abuse them like that. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to take care of them. That's part of our job. And this clearly isn't doing that. The development, it says, the development of chimeric animals has been ongoing around the world for decades. In 2019, the Chinese scientists reported the creation of a human monkey chimera using stem cells. Again, this is right out of this is the days of Noah. This is stuff right out of Genesis, right out of Enoch, the Jubilees, Revelation, and this one there doesn't even seem to be a reason for it. At least in this article, it doesn't report the scientists saying like what great humanitarian cause this was. It seems like they just wanted to see if they could do it. And again, I mean, you look at that poor monkey's eyes, and you just see just sadness, like just a sad emptiness. Like it's just horrific. It's horrific. There's no other word for it. And like I said at the beginning of this video, will the abominations never end? Well, unfortunately, they won't until the return of Jesus. So we need to be praying for that. And we need to be making videos and making content like this, speaking out against this stuff, because even if these scientists aren't Christian, they don't believe in the Bible, they don't believe in the days of Noah, any of that stuff, it's still horrific. It's just torture. It's animal torture. What really is the difference between this and you hear that trend that in some places in the world that they like kill dogs and stuff for fun. Like, what is the difference? And it's all under this veneer of scientific breakthroughs and we want to help people and we want to do all these wonderful things, but really there's other ways to do that. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you check the links in the description below. Sorry to leave on such a sad note, but the good note is that the return of Jesus is soon. So thank you all, and until next time, love you all. Take care and God bless.